Welcome back, Butch, and anybody else that might be using this as a reference on what I do in terms of rotations and just going through and killing things. So you should be able to see I've got a recording I've done of just some gameplay. I'm going to go through effectively the rotation that I have and just show you what's going on. So, just took this a little while ago. I think I go through some of the powers. So I'm using coordinate arrows, constricting arrow, hindering shot. So the thing to know about hindering shot, which is on my queue, so the ability itself has effectively a melee side that is very high AoE damage, and it has a archer side low damage single target with 3 different shots. I don't use the low damage single target side that often. I continuously use the other side, which is the melee AoE side, quite frequently. So that is something to note. Let's see, move back one up. So coordinate arrows, which is on my R, basically it has 3 AoE shots that you can place down on the ground. Those AoE shots, what they end up doing is they will stick most enemies to a single location. Some instances they'll even stun those enemies. So one of the things that you're going to want to end up doing is probably placing it down strategically at the very beginning when you go into a fight. So you'll notice in these fights quite often I'm going to use coordinate arrows on the archer side, quite frequent, as the first ability that I go through. So for most times it's going to be coordinate arrows, and then it will be usually my daily or artifact or mount combat ability, sort of in the beginning, and then I'll usually end up going on over to the bow side, or no, the melee side, right after I use the coordinate arrows ability. Constricting arrow, which is my E key at this point in time, but constricting arrow has a very high damage single target ability on the bow side. When you go on over to the melee side, you're looking at a very high damage AoE as well. So it's got 2 very, very good abilities on both sides. The archer side, I basically, after I've used up all of my AoE abilities, there's usually one target that has higher HP than everything else. So what I end up doing is I will use that ability after I've gone through all my AoEs, and effectively what that will do is that will allow for me to usually finish off that lone or one of the 2 higher DPS or higher HP mobs that are basically in the group. So let's go through this and let's see if we can't get into just some of the attacks in general. So I'm also using split shot and aim shot. Aim shot is the ability that you want to use for your at will when you are well, pretty much any point in time. You're going to want to use aim shot for your at will, which is on the archer side. So if you're using your mouse keys, you're not going to really want to use the at wills that are on the melee side. You're going to want the archer side at will encounters. So in here, cordon at the beginning, I'm using all of my AoEs. I then go back to the archer side, find I still have some people on up, and now I'm on the bow side, and I finish them off usually with my at-will aim shot. Okay, going in here, cordon of arrows. I go on over to melee side, use QER basically, come back on over, and I'm using aim shot now to finish off the last two higher HP minions at this point in time. Okay, ability should be back on up. My artifact right there at the beginning. Should have used my daily earlier, but that still was okay. I've got them ensnared there, and finish them off with really aim shot right here. This is going to be where I get into probably a little bit rougher of a situation. I think the large boss tends to come back on at this point in time when I'm engaged with this mob set. And yes, I just go on in and start fighting him. Single target, so I'm going to stay on the bow side and stay out of his range for the most part. Dodge is your friend. Dodge will give you 1 second invulnerability frames, so you're invulnerable to damage for the next 1 second. To most attacks, when you get into higher end content, there's some abilities that ignore that invulnerability status. So again, going on over the AoE side and then coming back to the bow to finish one out. So start on the bow side is basically what I do. Get up close, ensnare everything in the group close together, back away a little bit, dodge out of the damage. This right here I didn't, got out of the way, and then now I'm using my AoE abilities on the melee side to finish the rest of them off. So this group was a little bit more difficult. They're sort of more split up, and you'll notice that one of the enemies continues here in a second to follow me and keeps trying to use its stun ability on me, so I just keep moving and getting out of its space until it stops using those abilities, and now I'm in basically using all my different abilities on cooldown, trying to kill off everything that's there. Remember, most of the time you're going to want to use encounters instead of anything else. Your encounters do your most damage on this type of class. Your daily is basically there to pump up your passive, which gives you a % damage. And basically that's it. So hopefully this helps you, Butch, or anybody else that's watching. So have a good day.